Heidi ho, neighborinos. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. That
was nice.
Ned Flanders, Little Simpsons. We were just talking about The Office. It's the DLS pregame show. Last game of the homestand before they head out east for a bunch of games in the Eastern Conference. It's going to be a fun one. Stars play the Utah Hockey Club for the first ever time in Dallas, although a lot of familiar names from those Arizona Coyotes. Sam's here. Luddy's here. Producer John is here. I don't know if they're on speaking terms. We'll get to that later. Let's get started right now on DLS. Yes. Hopefully it's Montreal. It's Saturday, the first Saturday of 2025, in fact. And this is the DLLS Dallas Stars pregame show alongside Craig Ludwig, the two-time Stanley Cup winner. Sam Nessler is over at the AAC. The one time I thought about changing my tire. We have so many nicknames for Hot Sam, don't we? Our producer, John Anderson. I'm Owen Newkirk. Thanks for joining us. Look at this. A new viewer, Mark S. from Canada, watching, secretly wishing some of our pregame shows were as insightful as you guys. Wow.
Is he in a pub?
Thank you, Mark. Is he in a pub? No, he's probably at home. You don't know?
Remember, he's from Canada.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I should have thought of that initially. So, Mark, if you're in the chat and you're still watching, if you didn't check out already, let us know where in Canada you're watching from, and are you in a pub or not? All right. As we get to the insight, Sam, let's start it right off with this Utah Hockey Club. They've never been to Dallas. They have different colors and a different name. A lot of similar players, obviously, from the Coyotes. Same coach in Andre Tourigny, but this is one where we kind of had a running joke that we thought that Casey DeSmith was going to be the in perpetuity goalie to face Utah, but that's not the case tonight.
No, we're going to see Jake Oettinger, who will get his first ever start against the Utah Hockey Club. Talked to Casey DeSmith a lot about Utah a couple days ago, just kind of breaking down what he's seen since that's the team he's seen the most this season. He told me actually, he thought they'd be a simple team with they're kind of still rebuilding. They're trying to develop what their identity is going to be. They have a lot of skill, but he actually said it's the opposite. He said they actually pass up a lot of opportunities. And if you look, the games he played were not super high shot volumes, ridiculous scoring chances until maybe the third period when they were pushing to tie games, especially in that first matchup. But I looked at some of the stats and the numbers back it up. Utah's 25th. They only average 27.2 shots a game, which is way below Dallas, who sits at third with 30.9 shots a game. And we just talked about this morning how Dallas is so good at suppressing shots. They're fourth in the NHL, allowing 26 shots per game against. So kind of matches up well here for Dallas tonight. The only negative that goes with Jake Oettinger is from some of the stats we talked about while I was out in San Diego last week, which is that Jake and the Stars overall actually do a lot better when Jake sees a lot more action. And that's the way Jake's described his game. He likes to see shots. He likes to get in the game early. But as Sean Shapiro talked about, he's getting paid too much money to just not be able to make those big saves just because he's not getting a lot of action. So tonight might be a game where he's not getting a ton of action, especially early on, and he's going to have to be sharp against Utah.
I am having to laugh because we have a quick follow-up. Mark is in Toronto, not in a pub. He's listening to us on his headphones because his 2-year-old is hogging the TV with Blue's Clues, very not a pub. And then he said, Leafs on the laptop, I can't lie.
I don't know what a Blue's Clue is, but I know what Labatt's Blue is.
Excellent.
It's definitely show. For a little kid's children's show.
Well, swap it out for a Labatt's Blue.
Well, he's watching the Leafs on his laptop, so his son
can give it to the 2-year-old, and then he'll go to sleep and head out.
This is the Luddy school of parenting right there.
Oh, boy.
Sam, let's talk about speaking of young guys, Logan Stankoven, officially in the game on Thursday night, hit his 20th game in a row without scoring a goal. The goal drought is at 20, which is a big round number, and I had to look it up because I wanted to make sure I didn't get it wrong. He hasn't scored a goal since November 14th against the Boston Bruins in Dallas, and it was his third goal in 4 games. He is well back in the rookie scoring race now. He's 5th, but he has been losing ground steadily for over a month and a half now. What's Pete and the team saying about this and what he's dealing with?
Yeah, well, first of all, you can see it weighing on Logan, right? I talked to him a bunch on that trip when I was in Raleigh and Tampa Bay, and I talked about how hard it is to score in this league. But for someone who is a goal scorer, and let's be honest, Logan Stankoven's a goal scorer. Like he's impacting the game as we talked a ton about in the playoffs last year. He brings a ton of other things. He's not just a goal scorer, but he's at his best when he is scoring goals and creating offense, and it is weighing on him. You can see it visibly every day at practice. Morning skates, he's just not the same light, laughing Logan that you normally see. It looks like he just needs one to go in. And talk about the chances he's had. The unbelievable diving blocker saves he's getting stuffed on. The game on Thursday, he has an open net probably and hits the back of a knee of a defender standing in front. So it's not like he's not creating chances. By my count, he has 47 shots on goal in that time since the last time he scored a goal. He's creating offense. He does a lot of things outside of just scoring goals. And Pete DeBoer talked a little bit about that, as well as Maverick Bourque today, and how both those guys are going through it right now, right? Maverick Bourque only has 2 goals in 32 games that he's played all season. Logan's only got Logan's got 20 games in a row where he hasn't scored a goal. For Logan specifically, Pete just backed up what he said over and over again. He is helping us win games even if he's not scoring. Now, that doesn't mean the team doesn't want him to start scoring. That would help them win games a heck of a lot more, but he brings a lot to the game. We know what he does. He's in on the forecheck. He creates offense. He creates chaos. He works hard, and he sets up the next line usually for success when they're able to get that going in the offensive end. For Maverick Bourque on the flip side, Pete said it's getting better, and the main thing he used was trustworthy. He said, I don't have any fear throwing him out in situations right now. So while he's not producing offensively, we all know that it was going to take more time. He's not Wyatt Johnston. We weren't expecting him to score 30 goals, but we expected more than this. We expected him to be above Ilya Lyubushkin and Oscar Beck in points right now, 32 games into the season for him. So it's tough sledding for both of them right now, but Pete actually said, look, both of these guys are going to find their way. They're both going to score 20, 30, maybe even more goals in this league, but we don't know when. And that's what Pete has always stuck to ever since he started here, whether it was Nils Lundqvist or other young players. He talked about the development process and how it's different for every player. They go through it at different times. They hit their peak at different times. And while the Stars can't wait around forever, they know what they have in both of these guys. So the leash is going to be a heck of a lot longer for a Logan Stankoven and a Maverick Bourque because they know what they believe they can be. And I think that the important part is the progress and making sure they're chipping in and not a liability when they're on the ice. So Logan's going to score one. It might be tonight. It might be next week, but it's coming. It has felt like it's coming every single game. He's got 2 games in a row with 4 shots on goal. Like I mentioned, he had the golden scoring chance on Thursday. He just needs one to rattle off his butt or hit him in the shin pad or trickle in off of someone else just to get one to go in. And from there, I don't think it'll be a problem.
Sam, the chat is blowing up. A lot of great stuff, including Lane, who says he's at the AAC wearing his Stanky jersey. And then Ardell says he's calling Stankoven for the first goal. I love it. I hope it's the case. Luddy's been talking about it a lot, that it hasn't hurt his game, but it would help his game to take some of that massive pressure that I'm sure he's feeling.
Yeah, you look at how he played. Remember when he came in first and he started scoring? He just looks like a totally different player. He's creating, like I mentioned, he's going to get shots. Luds always talks about he pops most games, whether he's scoring or not. Now, he's not popping as much because he's not creating as much every single shift, which I think is leading to part of the struggles that he's having. But when he's a goal scorer deep down, and whether or not he turns into a 40-goal scorer or is a guy that just chips in 20 every year, mentally for him, he's a goal scorer. Look at his history. He has dominated every level he's played at until the NHL. And he needs pucks to go in order for this to happen. That doesn't have to be scoring every night, but it can't be 20 games in a row. And I know that this really weighed on him last year all the way into the playoffs when he was not able to score for a large part of the remaining season and into the playoffs last season. So the longer this drags on, the harder it is on Logan. And I think the team is there supporting him. DeBoer is only supporting him every single time we ask about him. I'm sure he talks to him plenty to keep his confidence going, but I think the confidence in those guys, in those both of those young players, outside of just scoring goals, is huge for their development, and I think it'll help.
How about this? And a great way to sign off with you for this one, Sam. Dean says, "Good day, guys. Tuning in all the way from Tasmania, Australia. Owen, Luds, and Sam, love all the work you do on the DLS podcast. Great stuff." Then with a koala, kangaroo, and I don't know what you would call that emoji, but
Naka, bro.
good on you, Dean. Thanks for watching. Love it. You ever been to Australia?
No.
Be a long flight. Sam?
Good day. Good day.
There you go.
Good
That
day.
works. I love it. All right, Sam, go get that warm up. Keep an eye on Utah, too. I hear that virus going through their team is messing with their rosters, kind of like the Stars a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I've heard that before. We'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know.
All right. Thanks, Sam.
Nice talking to you.
Luddy, I had to go back to the chat because a couple, Bailey and Prime, were both saying that you should know Blue's Clues and that Blue's Clues aired before Ren and Stimpy. That made me laugh. I love that Cam said, "Hey, guys, beat the Utah whatevers."
Yeah.
And Cam is at home wearing his Joe Pavelski blackout sweater. There it is.
That was sad.
We have him doing a lot going on.
You
He's
want me
trying
to do it again?
Yeah, because that one was bad. That's
There we
bad.
go. That was a good
I
pass
should bring
bell.
that bell with me. Maybe he would
You
answer
should
the
have
door.
stolen the bell so you,
You
have
want
to
me
ring
to-
bells
maybe
again.
he'd answer the door.
Oh,
Let me in. If
there's
I
no
did
way
bring
that
it.
would have happened.
Here, lads. I'm gonna throw you the bell from here.
I don't want the bell.
No, leave the
I
bell.
don't.
We don't
You're
want
a good
to.
bell
mind.
boy.
We already had one injury of feelings tonight. We don't need anything
Yeah,
physical.
exactly.
All right, Luds, before we get to the quote I really want to hit you with, I have a question to you about R2
That's
Huru.
Sam.
Sam's calling you?
Yeah, Sam's doing something.
What's he doing?
I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll have to check on him in a second. R2 Huru, second game of his NHL career tonight. He played his first game on Thursday night. What were your thoughts now that you've had 48 hours to digest it?
Obviously, very good in the face-off circle. I think he went 6-0, didn't he? I think he fit in nicely. I mean, there's nothing I could critique that would be negative. I don't know if there was anything positive, but he looked like he fit in. For his first game, he just fit into the game. He fit into who he was playing with. It's easy to see that he is a comfortable guy at this level. I don't think there was any situation that seemed to be too big for him. I mean, what did he get? 8-9 minutes that night. So it's not like he got overloaded on anything, but I thought it was a good game for him to get his feet wet. And again, when you have some special teams going on and things like that, and PK, you're not, your minutes are going to be down. So I think what he did is he gave a message to the coaches that he can now get some more minutes, whatever role it's going to be. I can see him get expanding at some time, but I think he's earned himself a few more minutes now.
All right. This is the quote that I saw from Pete DeBoer this morning that I said, okay, I've got to get Luddy's analysis and take on this. So, John, if you would please play this little short clip, which is Stars head coach Pete DeBoer from the morning skate today, which was optional. And he was asked about how he feels going into 2025 with his team and where their game is at. And one of the details he talked about was this.
I like our team game. I like how we're defending. That's given us a chance to win every night. I think some of those things are in good places, but there's always little details of the game. I don't think we're a good enough team yet on the walls in order to play and win down the stretch and into the playoffs. I think we've got to get better in those areas. So there's always things from a coaching perspective your group can get better at.
Okay, so what does he mean by that? And obviously we all know that there's a difference in the way the game's played stretch run and playoffs than it is early in the season. Yeah. But why specifically the game on the walls that he's not happy about right now?
Well, he can be talking about in his own zone, winning battles in your own zone, getting pucks out at certain times of the game and, out at the blue lines and things like that. Or in the offensive zone where I've kind of talked about it, and we talked a little bit more about the power play things where you notice it more, is those 50-50 puck battles. If you got a bigger winger there, and, there's a couple of guys that come to mind. I don't, Josh Anderson in Montreal, and you got Kreider in the Rangers, and, you could, there's some big guys that are floating around up there, whether they're available or not or what they're going to take. But then sometimes when I hear that, I'm like, because I know that Jim Nill and the coaches are always close and they have conversation. Jim's the kind of guy that has a conversation, I believe, after every game. They come down, sit down, or after the game's over. But sometimes everybody hears things. Are you sending a message saying, this is what we need, this is what we're looking for? But Jim Nill would know that anyways. So I just think you're looking for strength. And then the other area, obviously, that I can be nitpicky on is when you've got a team that can score goals and you're having a hard time scoring, you got to go to the harder areas, and you can't get pushed out of the harder areas, which meaning the front of the net. Are you looking for that big guy to get in front of the net? You need more. I mean, I'm very happy with the way Rupe's playing on the power play, especially that's getting to the front of the net. Jamie Benn's always done it. So, but I just think it's the strength and it's the physicality and being able to push through battles and not getting pushed out of battles.
The last question, I didn't clip it, but the last question of the media availability this morning, Taylor Baird, who covers the Stars for NHL.com, asked Pete a very interesting question about how, Pete was talking about some of the things you said, nitpicking, details, working on that, trying to refine your game. This is game number 38 tonight of 82, so there's a long way still to go. Yeah. And she said, as a coach, are you ever really happy and say, wow, yep, no notes, our team's playing great? And he said, no, not really. This is a tough league, and there's always things you can get better at.
There's only one time when a coach is going to be happy, and that's when you win that Stanley Cup in that final game, whether it's in game 5, 6, or 7. You're going to say, we played a great game tonight because we got that trophy. Otherwise, you're always doing, I don't care what level. We had a game today with our U18s, and we won the hockey game. We played a really good team. We lost yesterday, won today. And all we did is we were complaining about our team because everything's going to get better. We got to play the same team tomorrow, but you're always looking how to improve and how to get better. And you know that you can get better if you do certain things in certain areas. And so coaches are perfectionists. They want to come out on the right end. You don't want to give up a shot when you're not supposed to. You don't want to turn a puck over at the blue lines. It's got to go in, it's got to go out. And you're going to go down the sheet at the end of the game. You're going to go, man, we won 3-1, but I don't like this here and I don't like that there. And it's only because you're trying to improve, because there's a better team that has maybe some of those traits that you won't be able to get away with them against other teams.
The thing that was interesting to me this morning and early this afternoon is I'm trying to come up with the things that we're going to talk about and looking at various trends. As I kind of went, not a lot to talk about right now. Stars are on a 5-game point streak. They've won 3 in a row. They've won 7 of their last 11. They've only lost 3 in regulation during that span. That's kind of a good problem, isn't it?
Unlike the coaches, we don't have to drill down on things. No. We're results driven.
Yes.
It's easier for us and easy for the fans to like what's going on, regardless if it's 6-5 game and you got a lucky goal. I mean, you still come out of there happy. Coaches will never be like that. So their game is getting closer and closer, I think, to what, and Pete talked about it, around 15, 20. Like, we're not at where we want to be, and we want to get there. I think he's happy from the standpoint of we're getting close to that, understanding and realizing that Marchman's not in the lineup, Sagan's not in the lineup, Young Bork is in the lineup. You talked about, you've got 4 or 5 guys in the lineup that are trying to get the job done, and the other guys they're trying to fit in with the other guys. You got 2, 3. I don't want to call them new anymore. Dumba's been in and out, and Lundqvist has been, I think he's been good. So you've got all those kind of things going on, and now you're going, we're trying to reshape our team because we can't really pick up from where we were left off last year because just the personnel is different.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out where the little bits and pieces fit in, who's supposed to be with who, and I think now they're getting a good idea like that. I want to talk a little bit about Stankoven, and you guys, it was really good what you and Sam were talking about. The one, and that's why with Stankoven, the goals are important to him. He wants the goals, but he does some of those other things that Pete talks about. If it were Tyler or if it was Duchesne or one of those kind of players that aren't scoring, you'd be hearing me say, just get to the front of the net, get an ugly goal here and there. You can't tell Stankoven to go to the front of the net because he's in front of the net. He's in the corners. He's in the front. He shoots pucks. He passes pucks. He works every shift like it's his last shift. It's just the goals aren't going in for him. So that's why I think when you hear DeBoer go, I'm not concerned about him. When you're going to get concerned is when your top guys start drying up a little bit, because now you know what the next thing is. Well, we need some depth scoring. Now he would fall into that category. Right now you don't have to say that because you're winning hockey games and you have some bullets out of your gun that aren't there right now. But bottom line is you're getting closer. Plus you're climbing up the standings.
The Stars lineup is unchanged tonight from a forward and D perspective, and we expect them to look like this, which is how they did last game. Pre-game, we didn't know they were going to switch, but Steele, Bork, Stankoven was that third line with Oscar Beck playing with Artu Huru and Colin Blackwell. Boy, he was on for that one. He knew it was coming. Well done, John. What'd you think of that Steele, Bork, Stankoven line?
Straight lines. They spent a lot of time in the offensive zone. I don't think they made any mistakes in their own zone. Territorially, they were good where they needed to be. Do they have the pop right now? I mean, Bork doesn't have the pop right now. Pete talked about that. Bork doesn't have the pop right now. But Steele, he grows on you, doesn't he? I mean, he's a player that he seems to be on go all the time. You don't see him make a lot of poor decisions. He doesn't turn pucks over in the wrong areas of the ice. I think what that line is doing, and I think it's tougher for Bork when you're playing with guys that play in straight lines and pucks go in and you got to go get them and things like that, because I think he would rather be the east-west guy. I think he'd like to be able to play, the way a couple other guys do at the offensive blue line. Let's make some plays and things like that. But what he's doing, he's playing the way he has to stay, relevant and getting a regular shift.
Any concern about that line because of none of them are particularly huge in stature?
Well, maybe that's where that comment comes from, from Pete. I mean, looking for size, because we all know the game is different. You mentioned it. The game is different when you start getting to game 70. You're looking for the things that he's talking about, because on game 83, it just gets heavier. It's a heavier game. And like I always say, I mean, when you're playing the same team every other night for 14 days, possibly, you can find ways to push certain people out of the fight. And that's what he doesn't want. He wants to be the one pushing and not the one receiving. And so, concern, we'll wait and see, because it's a heavy style game, and it's a battle. And I think you're always going to be concerned that, your average height or weight is brought down with, 4 or 5 players in your lineup.
Take a look at the Stars' D pairings and their goalie tonight. Jake Oettinger gets the start. Sam just tweeted out the lines. They're exactly as we showed you, forwards and D. This is the 3 lefties, 3 righties. I do like that. I know you say I have to get over that, but what do you think about Lyubushkin playing with Haskin for the last couple of games?
He's been fine. I mean, I think he's the one that makes the most sense. Well, the one that makes the most sense would be Essa, but then that would put somebody on their offside. So,
one of the righties that's probably not
somebody's
used
going to
to
have to go over there. So, and Essa's fine over there. Essa plays a quiet enough game and makes the right decisions all the time. He can go there, and I think you may see that. You start getting into certain games, certain times of the year where you need that pair that's going to play against heavy doses of the top lines. But Lyubushkin has been I don't know how you can critique anything negatively with him. I mean, even he jumps up into the play more here, but again, I'm sure he's getting a little bit more pushed here because that's the style that they play, and he's able to handle it. But he's good in front of his own net. I mean, he makes good outlet passes. He's effective and he's efficient, and he understands the guy that he's playing with. And I think what's nice about it is Miro knows that he can count on him being, if you're not going to have Essa, he's probably the next best thing to having Essa play next to him.
Let's talk about the Utah Hockey Club. They have won 9 straight games, Dallas has, against Arizona/Utah, all the way back to the start of the 22-23 season to the present. If you go back to the beginning of the 2016-17 season, Dallas is 21-2-1 against the Coyotes / whatever they're going to be called, Hockey Club. That's an .896 point percentage. They have feasted against this team. But this is a better team. I think they're growing, and I think that while they've gone through a little bit of a rough patch lately, remember when Dallas played them in Salt Lake City the last time, they had on, I believe it was an 8-game point streak. Well, they lost to Dallas. They lost 4 in a row, but they got a big win in Calgary the other night. And both games between the Stars and the Utah Hockey Club have been very, very low-scoring, tight-checking type of games.
Yeah, when you and Sam were talking about offensive opportunities and shots and things like that, and they're not, they don't put up 45 shots a night. But I look at the team that they have. I look at the players. I mean, Claytonkeller, Cooley, Gunther. These are guys, Keller especially, he loves hanging on to the puck, but they're picking up points. I mean, Keller's got 13 points in his last 10. Cooley's got a dozen. I think the Gunther kid's got 6 or 7 goals in his last 10.
Cooley has led points in 16 of his last 19 games.
Yeah, and but see, they're that style where they hang on to the puck and they make the little plays, and they're creative. So I think that's why they don't they'll look for the extra pass. And sometimes that's why I think that these kind of teams, younger teams, and they kind of go like this because they don't understand, like, we got to start getting pucks to the net. We got to start driving it. They will continue to play that way. That's part of coaching. Maybe he's probably letting them play. So they're exciting. They're entertaining. I'm sure the fans there love them in Utah. But that's the reason I think their shots are down, because they look for the extra pass sometimes instead of getting pucks to the net.
Now, you saw the forward group that John put up there. We're not sure that's exactly going to be the group because they're going through a virus, an illness that similar to what the Stars was. They said for about a week or so. And so there's some game time decisions. They know who's going to play tonight, but we don't know yet. We're still waiting to see if anybody from the Utah media coverage tweets it about, or if Sam gives us a heads up. But one thing they did do, Luds, was they recalled Kevin Connaughton. There's a name from the past.
Yep.
From the AHL's Tucson Roadrunners, their AHL affiliate. He hasn't played an NHL game since April 19th of 2022 with Philadelphia, a game at Toronto. He spent last year with Ontario, the Ontario Reign, in California. That's the LA Kings affiliate. And the year before that with Lehigh Valley, the Phantoms, that's the Philadelphia Flyers affiliate. So it's been a couple years, but he also played a couple years, 2013 to 2015, as part of the Dallas Stars organization. And it's all, I think, because Robert Bortuzzo, who had been out for 9 games, returned and went right back on the IR today after 1.
Yeah, well, he's getting a little older. You start getting up into the mid-30s, and it's funny how you get the nagging things, the reoccurring things. From Kevin's standpoint, Connaughton, he played with one of my twins at Western. And I remember the first time I saw him, I actually sent a message back to Les Jackson when he was here. And I said, hey, there's this kid up here. And he stood out to me. I mean, big kid. He can get up and down the ice, but he hasn't really nailed the spot.
Pretty big shot, too.
Yeah,
He's tall. He's not super bulky.
Yep.
He's not a Victor Hedman type, but for his tall, lean size, he can really shoot the puck.
Yeah. He can skate. For a big kid, he can skate. So he's kind of been I guess you call him a journeyman now. I mean, he's got to be
he's played
30?
360 NHL games.
Yeah.
He's 34 now.
Yeah.
I believe. And so it'll be interesting to see if he gets the game tonight or if he's just the extra guy because of Bortuzzo going on IR again. One thing I did want to ask you about for Utah is both times we've played them, we talked about their penalty discipline issues. Number 1 in the NHL in a bunch of categories. So let's rattle them off real quick. They are first in penalty minutes per game, 10 minutes and 56 seconds. Third in total PIMs, which is penalty minutes. First in majors, 6th in minors. First in time shorthanded, 135 through 38 games. And first in time shorthanded per game. But they've gone from top 5 down to 11th in power play goals against because suddenly their penalty kill is working. From the end of November until Thursday night, they are at 89.6%. So that's helped because they still go to the box an awful lot.
I'd be interested to how many of those penalties are coming at home versus road.
You looked at their home versus road record?
Well, yeah.
It's startling.
Really?
They're not good at home.
And I think they over-try. I think they're trying to put on a show. I mean, you're in a new city, right? And that's why I wonder what the penalty minutes would be.
Worst record in the league at home, and they are tied for 2nd in road record. That is, you would think with all the buzz in Salt Lake City that would be a good thing for them.
Yeah, and I just wonder, when like penalties and things like that too. You want to play. You're trying to get the fans get involved in it. And are you trying to not play a dull game? And a lot of that is coaching. I mean, they got to. The coach can dictate how you're going to play because if you don't play a certain way, you don't play. So, they haven't quite grabbed, what home ice advantage would typically be.
So, last thing for you, and then we will get you to the game.
Watch some hockey. We'll watch you right away on your scooter, and then we got it.
Well, yeah, I know you always enjoy that. The last game of a homestand. Does that mean anything? Is there anything mental? Everyone talks about trap games for first games. Does the last game before a long road trip mean anything, or is this just another game?
No, it's another game. I don't think you're not. It's not like they're leaving after the game or anything.
It's a trap.
So I don't. It's a little different coming back, and that's why we talk about you think it's going to be a little easier when you come home, but I think if anything, you're trying to head out on the road with a win underneath your belt.
Well, they've been really, really good. They have the second best record points-wise in the NHL, 31 points in 21 games. They're 15-5-1 at home. And that includes that loss to in Finland to Florida, which counted as a home game because they had one home, one road up there at Nokia Arena in Tampere. So the Stars have been great at home. They're going to try to go on the road here for an Eastern Conference trip after this. 3 in a row, 5-game point streak. Can they make it 3 for 3 this season against the Utah Hockey Club, which they won't see again until April 12th in Dallas? So it'll be a long stretch between these two rivals. We'll see. Enjoy the game tonight. Thank you to Sam, who was joining us from the AAC. Join Luddy, me, John, and Sam for the post-game show right afterwards here on DLLS.
I believe that they are going to crush these guys tonight. I concur.
We all silly like the mayor.